Germany is going through one of the biggest transformations of its modern history. In 2026, millions of people are leaving the country, and more cities are starting to feel like empty shells. This is not just a story about empty houses and closing shops, it is about an entire society changing from the inside. If you are watching this and you are thinking about migration, jobs, or the future of Europe, this video is for you. We will look at 10 German cities that are turning into ghost towns, explain why this is happening, and show what it means for ordinary people. The first thing to understand is that Germany's population is not growing the way it once did. In fact, it is slowly shrinking. Birth rates are low and life expectancy is high, which means more older people and fewer young people every year. At the same time, many younger Germans are moving away from small towns and villages to big cities or even to other countries. This leaves behind homes that no one wants to buy, streets with too few customers for local shops, and schools that are half empty. In the north, the east, and even in some parts of the west, you can already see this trend clearly. Now imagine a city that 10 years ago felt lively and busy. There were people walking in the streets, children playing near the park, and small family-run shops that everyone knew. Then one factory closes, then another. Then younger people start moving to Munich, Berlin, or even to countries like Canada, the United Kingdom, or the United States. Slowly, the number of people in that city drops from 10,000 to 8,000, then to 6,000, and in some extreme cases even lower. The city does not completely disappear overnight, but year after year, it starts to feel more like a ghost town than a normal functioning place. That is exactly what is happening in at least 10 German cities right now. Some of them were once important industrial centers with steel factories, car plants, or coal mines that gave jobs to thousands of workers. When those industries shrank or disappeared, the jobs disappeared with them. People who had no choice but to move away for work did not come back. Over time, their children moved even further to other countries or to bigger German cities. The result is a city that looks like it is still standing but feels like it is slowly dying. One of these cities is in the eastern part of Germany, near the Polish border. Population here has dropped from around 50,000 people in the year 2000 to less than 30,000 today. The main factory that once employed a quarter of the city's workers shut down in 2012. Since then, the city has experimented with new plans, small business incentives, and even tourism, but it has not been enough. Streets that were once full of commuters are now quiet, with only a few buses and a handful of cars passing through. The city center has more empty shops than open ones, and the local newspaper prints fewer pages every year. Another city, this time in the north, has seen its population shrink from about 40,000 to 22,000 in the last 20 years. The port that used to bring in cargo ships and create jobs for dock workers has lost a lot of its trade to larger ports in other countries. The city tried to attract information technology companies and remote workers, but most people still prefer to live in bigger cities like Hamburg or Berlin. In this northern city, the number of students in the local technical school has fallen from 1,500 to less than 600. Empty buildings that once held offices now sit abandoned, and the local government is talking about demolition instead of redevelopment. In a third city located in the west, the decline is slower, but the direction is the same. The population has gone down from 68,000 to about 60,000 in the last 10 years. This city was once known for its strong manufacturing base, but automation and global competition have reduced the number of factory workers. The remaining factories require fewer people, and many of the new jobs are not in the city itself, but in nearby industrial parks or in other countries. As a result, young people who finish school or university often leave, and only a few come back. The city still has a train station, supermarkets, and a hospital, but the sense of growth has disappeared. Why are people leaving Germany in large numbers? There is no single reason, but several trends are working together. First, the cost of living in Germany is rising. Rent in big cities like Munich, Frankfurt, and Berlin has gone up by more than 50% in the last 10 years. For many people, especially young families, it is becoming impossible to afford a decent apartment. At the same time, wages are not increasing at the same speed. So even if someone has a job, they may still feel poorer than they did before. Second, the housing market is in crisis. In some cities, there are too few homes and too many people who want to buy or rent. In other cities, there are too many empty homes and not enough people who want to live there. The result is paradoxical. In one part of Germany, people are paying extremely high rent, while in another part, houses are standing with broken windows and empty rooms. This mismatch makes it harder for local governments to plan properly and leads to more people moving away from smaller communities. Third, the job market is changing. Many traditional jobs in manufacturing, construction, and services are being replaced by automation and artificial intelligence. A factory that once needed 500 workers may now need only 150. Young people who expect to find stable jobs in their hometowns often discover that those jobs no longer exist. Instead, they hear about opportunities abroad, where companies are offering better salaries, lower taxes, or a more relaxed lifestyle. Some leave for other European countries, while others move to North America, Australia, or even Asia. Fourth, there is a growing sense of uncertainty about the future. Germany is facing global economic slowdowns, climate change, and political tensions. For people who are already struggling with high rent and low wages, these bigger problems can feel overwhelming. If someone thinks that their city will never recover its old prosperity, they may decide to leave early before things get worse. This creates a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. When people leave, the local economy weakens, which makes more people want to leave, and so on. Behind all of this is a deeper demographic problem. Germany's population is aging. In 100 years, the proportion of people over 65 years old has increased from around 10% to more than 20%. This means that every year, more people retire and fewer new babies are born. The result is a shrinking workforce. If the number of workers goes down but the number of retirees goes up, the pressure on the economy becomes very strong. Pensions, healthcare, and social services all need money, but fewer people are paying into the system. Migration can help to some extent, but it is not a perfect solution. In recent decades, Germany has welcomed millions of immigrants, both from within Europe and from outside. Many of these newcomers have started businesses, paid taxes, and filled important jobs in hospitals, construction, and technology. However, some of them also face difficulties integrating, finding affordable housing, or learning the language. In addition, not every small city attracts new immigrants. Often, immigrants prefer to live in big, diverse cities where there are more opportunities and more support networks. This leads us to the problem of regional inequality. Germany is not one uniform country, it is a collection of very different regions. In the west and the south, cities like Munich, Stuttgart, and Frankfurt are still relatively strong and prosperous. In the east and in some rural areas, the situation is much more difficult. This gap creates a kind of internal migration within Germany. People move from the weaker regions to the stronger ones. At the same time, people from the stronger regions also leave Germany entirely, looking for better opportunities abroad. The result is that some cities are getting richer and more crowded, while others are getting poorer and emptier. The housing crisis is closely linked to this. In big cities, demand for apartments is very high, so prices go up. In smaller cities, demand is low, so prices stay the same or even fall. But falling prices do not always solve the problem. A city cannot survive if most of its houses are empty. Local governments still have to pay for roads, schools, and public services, even if there are fewer people to pay taxes. When the population shrinks, it becomes harder to maintain infrastructure. Buses run less frequently, schools close, and hospitals may reduce services. This makes the city even less attractive to new residents. Another important factor is infrastructure. In the past, Germany invested heavily in roads, railways, and industrial zones, which helped cities grow. Now, many of those same investments are aging. Trains and buses are still running, but they are often slower and less reliable than people would like. In some small cities, the train connection to the nearest big city has been reduced from every 20 minutes to once every 2 hours. This may not sound like a big change, but for someone who wants to commute to a job or visit family, it can be the final reason to move away. The impact on everyday life is huge. Imagine a family living in one of these shrinking cities. The children go to a school with only 2 classes per grade level instead of 3. The local supermarket closes because there are not enough customers. The nearest hospital is now an hour away by car. The only reliable job for the husband is in a nearby factory, but he has to commute 40 minutes each way. The wife used to work at a small shop in the city center, but that shop has now closed. The couple starts to wonder, is this the best place to raise our children? For young people, the question is even more pressing. A university student who finishes a degree in engineering may have the choice of staying in a small city with few job opportunities, or moving to a big city, or even to another country. Often the decision is not emotional, it is financial. If the expected salary in the hometown is 20,000 euros per year, but in another country it is 35,000 euros per year, the choice becomes obvious. Even if the person loves their hometown, they may feel that they have no real option. This is why the ghost town effect is strongest in areas that were once industrial but have not successfully reinvented themselves. If a city's economy is built around one factory or one type of industry, it is very vulnerable to change. When that factory closes or changes, the whole city can collapse. In contrast, cities that have a mix of industries, technology, services, education, and tourism are more resilient. They can adapt to new trends and keep growing even when one sector shrinks. Of course, it is not all bad news. Some German cities are taking steps to fight decline. They are investing in renewable energy projects, digital infrastructure, and remote work hubs. They are offering tax incentives and cheap housing to attract young professionals and startups. In a few cases, they are even buying empty houses and converting them into student dormitories, co-working spaces, or community centers. These efforts are not always successful, but they show that there is a way to resist the trend if enough people and resources are involved. Policies can also make a difference. National and regional governments can spend money on public transportation, education, and healthcare in shrinking cities. They can create programs that help local businesses modernize and connect with online markets. They can support families who want to stay by offering better childcare, housing subsidies, or job training programs. None of these ideas can reverse population decline overnight, but they can slow it down and make life more comfortable for the people who remain. In the long term, the question is whether Germany can accept that some cities will never return to their former size. Instead of fighting this reality, policymakers might focus on making smaller cities more livable, sustainable, and attractive in different ways. For example, a city with fewer people can invest in green spaces, low-carbon energy, and high-quality public services. It can become a quieter, more relaxed place to live instead of a crowded, expensive metropolis. This kind of vision is harder to sell in the short term, but it may be more realistic in the long term. The situation in Germany also reflects broader trends in Europe. Across the continent, many countries are facing similar problems: aging populations, high costs of living, and uneven economic growth between regions. Some Eastern European countries have seen large numbers of young people leave for Western Europe or for other continents. In Southern Europe, cities are struggling with unemployment and debt. Germany is not unique, but it is a powerful example of how quickly a rich, developed country can start to feel the pressure of demographic and economic change. For viewers outside Germany, the story is still relevant. If you are from Pakistan, India, the United States, or any other country, you may see similar patterns in your own region. There may be small towns where factories closed, where young people are moving to big cities, and where the number of people on the streets is slowly decreasing. Understanding what is happening in Germany can help you think about how your own country might respond to similar challenges in the future. Finally, it is important to remember that this video is not about blaming any one group, government, or generation. The forces driving these changes are very large and complex. No single policy, law, or election can fully stop population decline or urban shrinkage. What is possible is to manage the process in a more human way, protecting the rights of older people, supporting families, and giving young people real opportunities to succeed. If Germany can do that, even its shrinking cities might become better places to live, even if they are smaller than they once were. To summarize, millions of people are leaving Germany in 2026, and at least 10 cities are on the path to becoming ghost towns. This is happening because of a mix of factors: aging population, changing job markets, high housing costs, and regional inequality. The housing crisis, migration patterns, and Europe's wider economic trends all play a role. But there are also solutions: investing in infrastructure, supporting local economies, and creating more affordable housing. Whether Germany succeeds in reversing or at least slowing this decline will depend on how it balances these challenges over the next few decades. If you found this analysis helpful, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with others who are interested in economics, migration, or the future of European cities. You can also leave a comment and tell us, do you think your own country could face a similar situation in the future, and what should governments do about it? Your questions and ideas can help shape the next video on this topic.